Where do condo buyers go these days, and which area have improved the most? Hi everyone, Yinan here. So continue from last video where we talk about the overall GTA real estate market data analytics regarding June's data. We're going to use that same data to break down the market into different areas, and we'll focus on condos in this episode to see what's going on in the condo market and which areas are actually finally to show some signs of improving. From the last video, we saw that between condo and detached active listings, detached is the one that's still going up, right? From 13.8 thousand to 14.1 thousand. Condo, actually, the active listings finally tapered off. After 5 months of increasing, it has flattened, right? The active listing stopped increasing. So that's interesting. So which areas are actually causing this to flatten out? Because previously, most areas are increasing in active listing, right? So finally, which areas are slowing down? So let's take a look, which is important to understand where are buyers going and which areas are doing better. Okay, so if you look at the screen, this graph shows the comparison between May and June for condos, between sales volume, new listings, and active listings. Okay, so there's 3 important metrics, and we can see that for sales volume, this is where the buyers are going. Between May and June, Midtown had 30 more buyers. Vaughan had 28 more buyers in June than May. Okay, that's quite significant because downtown, which is a much bigger market, only had 13 more buyers in June than May. Okay, but Vaughan is a small market. 28 new buyers, additional buyer is a big change. And the areas that are getting less buyers in June than May is Etobicoke and Mississauga, right? And Oakville. These are areas condos are not getting more attention, not getting more popular. You can see for a majority of the areas are getting less new listings, which is good. Less sellers putting their condos on the market. Probably because summer is here, a lot of people are not as in a rush to put their property on the market because they think the summer is a slow season, right? So which is good. Less listing is good. Helps to slow down the crashing of the market. But except Oakville. Oakville for new listing actually had 16 additional new listings in June than May, right? But if we compare what happened in Oakville in buyers, so Oakville had 7 less buyers in June, but 16 new sellers in June than May. Okay, so that means Oakville's condo market is doing worse in June than May, right? So the active listing change, we can take a look. So in general, this is basically which areas are getting higher active listings as a result. So you can see that North York, Mississauga, and Scarborough actually has more active listings, which is bad. I mean, there's more competition between the sellers. Oakville, despite having a pretty bad month, active listing only gone up by 3. We'll take a look at why, okay? And for Vaughan, we can see that Vaughan had less active listings, Midtown had less active listings, and downtown had less active listings, which is good. All these are the areas that are improving. We can see that Vaughan and Midtown are the ones that has the highest number of new buyers, which means they actually digested some of the active listings in these 2 areas. If we take a look at the actual change in months of inventory, which is a measure of how busy these areas are, Vaughan condo had the biggest improvement in the market, right? So -3 is Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Midtown, which is the areas we talk about that had more buyers, less sellers, contributing to a better market, right? Downtown, despite is a smaller change, but because it's a big market, so that's quite significant. And we can see the areas that are less busy than before, Mississauga, Oakville, Etobicoke, right? Their months of inventory actually have gone up. So let's take a quick look at what's going on in these good and bad markets to see which area actually took a turn. More obviously, which areas are worsening and why, right? So let's take a look at Vaughan, for example. Vaughan is the area that did the biggest change in months of inventory. And you can see that on the screen, sales volume has gone up a lot, right? From 60 to 88. So this is a lot of new buyers came to Vaughan. It's even more than last year this time, right? So it's quite worth noting because Vaughan, as we sold one of the listings in Vaughan as well, because some of the listings has been selling for looks like a very good price. There's influx of buyers who actually see that, so that they came seeking for value. That means we can see that the real estate market is like, buyers are like water, right? They go to where the good deals are. And in terms of new listings, we see less than May, and therefore active listings has took a turn in Vaughan, right? So that's good. That means Vaughan real estate market in condo is actually starting to see a little bit possibility of slowing down in its worsening, right? Finally, we're starting to see some hope because we need to see this active listing take a turn downwards before the real estate market can become better, right? It needs to happen over a number of months for that to happen. We can take a look at Midtown as well, which is another area that's doing better. And let's take a look at Midtown Toronto. You can see that there's also a lot of buyers. You can see the increase. There's less sellers. The sellers are actually even less than last year, right? Which is last year is the light blue line. So less sellers than last year, more buyers, like a big jump. Therefore, we took a turn in the Midtown's inventory level, right? Which is a good news for Midtown. So let's take a look at the areas doing worse. Let's take a look at Mississauga, for example. That's one of the areas doing bad, right? And Mississauga, we can see that it's the different story. Number of sales, it actually less sales than last month. You see that before we saw the Vaughan and Midtown, the number of buyers, number of sales have shot up, right? But Mississauga actually had less sales in June than previous months. That means in June, there's actually less buyers transacted in Mississauga. They probably went to Vaughan because they saw better deals, right? So even though the number of sellers did not increase in Mississauga, but because of less buyers, the active listing still is increasing, okay? Compared to the other ones where they actually took a turn, where the first 5 months is going up, the last month is going down. Mississauga is a different trend. You can see it's consecutive 6 months of increasing in inventory. So Mississauga still have a longer way to go to recovery than the other areas that we're looking at. Now, if we take a look at Oakville, for example. Oakville, the reason that you can see the active listing is remaining pretty much flat because we actually had a very good month in the previous months, okay? So Oakville had a very, very good month in May. The number of buyers have came down from May, but still a lot higher than the previous month. So June, in Oakville, we actually had a good month in June for condos. But because the May was even better, that's why you see a decrease, but it's still a very strong month. Because sellers see that there's a lot of good sales happen in May in Oakville condo, that's why a lot of them actually put their listings on the market. You can see that June actually had an increase in number of new listings in Oakville, right, for Oakville condos. And that's why there's actually more sellers came to the market. So that's another interesting thing. If we see an area having a lot of sales, next month, a lot of sellers may come to market because they see, hey, all my neighbors are being sold. Maybe I should sell too. Maybe I should join this wave of market, right? I don't want to miss out. So next month, we could see more sellers coming to the market, which slows down the market again. So that's why, despite having a bad month-over-month trend in Oakville, we actually had a similar level of active listings because we actually had a lot of buyers in Oakville condo. It's just not as high as last month. So, and if we take a look at another area, let's say downtown, for example, that's a very important area, right? So downtown Toronto, we actually had more sales, a little bit more sales. We have 365 sales in June, 352 sales in May. So we had a little bit more sales. We had a lot less new listings than previous months, right? You can see that new listings have been going up every month except June. So that's why. So in downtown Toronto, even because the prices keep going down, right? People are looking at downtown like, hey, that's a good deal. I see a lot of downtown condos selling for even less than $1,000 per square feet, which is similar price to if you buy a condo in Markham or Vaughan. Because people are looking at downtown and thinking, hey, that's a good price. So why don't I go buy downtown, right? And downtown sellers, they are starting to hold back a little bit on putting their properties on the market. Also maybe because in the summer, there's less new pre-constructions completion, right? But next month, we know that in August, July, August, there are a few projects in downtown completing, so that may also drive up the future inventory again. We'll have to see. But either way, because downtown we're starting to see good values, we're starting to see some buyers returning to the market. The buyers start still going up in terms of number of transactions in downtown, but sellers are slowing down in their speed of putting listings on the market, so which results in a slowdown in active listing in downtown, which is important because you can see the previous 5 months has gone up from 1900 to 2800, right? It's a straight line going up. Finally, this kind of churn on the active listings for downtown condos is a very important signal to observe, to see what's going to happen in the next few months, because this could be the turning point for the remainder of the year, right? Because you saw last year, the turning point was in June, just 1 month later, and the remainder of the year was kind of getting better, right? So it's very important to watch this part. So yeah, this is basically a quick overview for the condo market and breaking it down by different regions and different cities to see which areas are doing better or worse than last month and also last year, and explaining why some areas are behaving the way they do and how downtown Toronto is starting to see a little bit of opportunity to stop the loss, right? The market has been crashing down, but finally it's slowing down in the crashing, which is important to observe. And what conclusion do you draw from here? I have no idea, right? But data is a data. Use that to make your own decision. Use the data to form your own judgment and analysis to help you better to understand the real estate market, hopefully for better decisions. Okay, so next video we're going to talk about freehold, especially detached properties, and how they're behaving in the market and comparing different cities. So stay tuned, subscribe. Until next time, ciao.